Hello, my name's Mr. Reed and I am the second in science. This PowerPoint is going to go through the choices that are available to you for GCSE Science as you move from Year 9 into Year 10. So you might be thinking, well, I've already had science lessons and I have science lessons on my timetable, so what have I been taught in Year 9 for science? So in order to give you enough time to properly understand the curriculum, we have designed our course to have it start in Year 9. And in Year 9, this is really just the foundations of the content for the science curriculum. So although everything that we have studied so far is examinable, there are lots more modules for us to study in science, and the modules that you've done so far form the foundations for you to understand some of those later modules. So it doesn't matter which science course you go for, and I'll explain in a little bit more detail later on about those courses, because the very early modules are exactly the same for every single science course that we do offer at St Clare's. As you are now approaching Year 10, we'd like to give you the choice as to whether you wish to study for something called the Combined Science GCSE Award or the Triple Science GCSE Award. Now, you may have heard these under different names. They are the same thing. So the Combined Science Award is sometimes called the Double Science Award, and the Triple Science Award is sometimes called the Separate Science Award. I think the terms combined and triple are a little bit easier, and it can get a bit confusing when we start using different words. So I will be using Combined Science GCSE and Triple Science GCSE throughout this presentation. And as I've already said, the topics that you've studied so far are relevant to both of these courses. I'm going to start with an overview of the two courses so that you can start to think about which course you think you would like to go for, and then I will give you some more information as we go through this presentation. So to start with, the big difference between the Combined Science course and the Triple Science course is the amount of GCSEs that you will receive at the end, and that's the thing that most people want to ask about. So for the Combined Science course, you receive 2 GCSE grades in science. They are just called science, so it is not broken up into biology, chemistry or physics. It is just in science. In Triple Science, however, you will get separate GCSE grades, which is sometimes why Triple Science course is called the Separates course. So in Triple Science, you will have a GCSE grade for biology, 1 for chemistry and 1 for physics. That's a total of 3 GCSEs for science. If you study on the Combined Science course, then you will still have lessons in biology, chemistry, physics. Sometimes when people call the Combined Science course the Double Science course, it can get confusing and people think that you end up dropping one of these sciences, but you don't. You still study all 3. At St Clare's, we follow the Edexcel 9:1 specification for our GCSE course. And if you go on the Edexcel website, you can find the specification and any information about the courses that we offer. For Triple Science, you will also have your lessons in biology, chemistry and physics, and you study exactly the same as the pupils taking the Combined Science course. However, if you opt to go for the Triple Science course, then there are some extra modules that you will study in order to make up the extra content to get the extra GCSE qualification. Now, if you study on the Combined Science Award, your exams, you will, in total, in Year 11, you will sit 6 science papers. So you will have 2 papers per subject. So you will have a paper 1 and a paper 2 for biology, a paper 1 and a paper 2 for chemistry, and exactly the same for physics. All of the papers that you sit are 1 hour and 10 minutes in length. If you choose to go for the Triple Science, you will have the same number of exam papers. So you will still sit 6 science papers, 2 papers for each subject. However, if you can see there, to give you exam questions on the extra content, the papers are 1 hour and 45 minutes in length. So they're a little bit longer than the Combined Science. That's for each science paper. Now, on the Combined Science Award, you have 2 grades your 2 GCSE grades are awarded by adding together the marks from all 6 of your science papers. And it's worth mentioning here that the 2 grades that you will receive for combined science are what they call coupled, which means that you can only receive grades that are 1 grade apart. And we've got some examples of what the final outcomes will look like for your GCSE grades. So we can see there a 4-4, and people achieving a 4-4 means that they have 2 GCSE grades at a 4. You can also then get a 5-4, meaning you'll have 1 GCSE grade at a 5 and 1 at a 4, and then a 5-5. But you couldn't get something along the lines of a 6-4 or anything like that, because the grades are worked out from adding together all of the marks on the science papers and then putting it towards grade boundaries. For the Triple Science Award, then you have your 3 grades are awarded from adding together the marks from the individual science papers. So for example, the marks from your 2 biology papers will be added together for your biology grade. And so you can have grades that are very different apart. So for example, if you are better at biology than you are chemistry, for example, you could get a 7 or an 8 in biology and then maybe a 5 or a 6 in chemistry. There's no coupling of the grades for Triple Science. Now, if you know people higher up in the school, in terms of older pupils or people that have gone through this before, then you'll know that this is a new thing that we're doing here. Usually we would suggest which of the courses to do, and we would your timetable would be adjusted as such. What we're doing, the reason why we're changing it this year is because we want to allow more time on the timetable to teach those extra separate content. Now, on the combined science course, you will have a total of 10 science lessons a fortnight. That is the same as most of you have right now. You will have 2 teachers who will teach you the 3 science subjects between them. Again, that is the case that most of you are on at the moment. I know some of you have 3 science teachers who do separate it out already, but I know a lot of you will just have the 2 teachers. You'll normally have 1 teacher that will take you for slightly more than the other one, and they will do 2 of the science subjects, and then the teacher you don't see as much of will then teach you the 3rd science subject. If you choose to go on to the triple course, then you will still have the same 10 science lessons shared between 2 teachers as the pupils on the combined science course. You can almost view that as like your core science lessons, because if you remember, the content for the triple course is exactly the same as the combined course plus extra. And so what we're doing is we're separating that out. So you will have your combined science lessons, and then you will also have the extra 5 lessons a fortnight that will take up an option block, where you will have another teacher, a 3rd teacher, who will be your triples teacher. And your triples teacher will just teach you that extra content for those extra questions on the exam needed for the triple award. And also, when I've planned the curriculum, there does seem to be some time for some extra revision and challenge along the way. A little bit more about reading around the subject and linking what you are doing in your core combined science lessons to things like careers and the world, the wider world. And as I said, this is a new thing, and we have done this to give ourselves more time and you guys more time to really understand the content that is on the triples course. So as you've already seen, the exams for the triple science are longer. They're an extra 35 minutes longer compared to the combined science course. So when you add that up over the 6 papers, that's an extra 3.5 hours worth of exam time. And that's what your 3rd triple teacher will use the time on your timetable in the option block to teach you and just prepare you for those extra questions. Remember that the exam papers for triple science have exactly the same questions as the combined science papers, plus an extra few questions in there. So you'll still have your normal science lessons in your core science lessons, and then your triples teacher will just teach you for the extra content. I just wanted to give you a little example of the extra content that's in the triple course. So I've separated it out here for the 3 subjects, and you can see an example of the extra content that you will be studying. So for biology, for example, we look at how the eye works, and we look at how cells can make proteins and blood groups. For chemistry, we do lots of things on metals, a lot of work on the chemistry of different metals, how batteries work. We look at how alcoholic drinks are made, how plastics are made, really, big industries there that we get to look at if we was to do triple chemistry. For triple physics, there's a whole module on astronomy that's very interesting and very popular with a lot of people who take triple science, along with some other things there in physics. We can see about how lenses work and nuclear power stations as well. Now, this isn't the complete list of everything that's covered in triple, but it's just to give you an idea of what the extra content is, what you should get to study in triple that you won't study in combined. So now I've given you as much information as I can about the 2 courses. You now need to think which course is right for you. I want to make it clear that both courses will give you the GCSE grades in science expected from any higher education establishment, apprenticeship programme or future employers. I also want to make it clear that the most common GCSE course by far sat by pupils in the UK is the combined science course. So you could view triple science as something that might set a person apart from others if applying for further education, training, apprenticeships, or a career, especially in what we call the STEM field. And STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if any future careers that you can think of that you might be interested in apply in this sort of STEM field, then triple science might be the right option for you. Now, we do need to talk about the difficulty of these extra content. The triple science course is designed for those who are excelling at science during their year 7, year 8 and year 9. So for that reason, we would suggest that the triples course is best taken by pupils currently achieving a flight path 6 or higher. However, we also understand that your education has been disrupted by lockdown and that some of you may still want to do triple and have not received these grades as of yet. We will view each case on an individual basis, and there is scope for selecting the triples course even if you are not quite at that grade yet. We may have to have a conversation with you, but please do not think that you cannot choose triple science if you are not at that grade. By all means, come and find myself or Mr. Dennis or speak with your science teacher if you are unsure. I'd like to finish off now by just giving you some other points to consider. If you are thinking of taking the triple science course, then it will take up one of your option blocks. However, it doesn't affect your EBAC choices and you will still have another option to choose from. So it shouldn't narrow your options down too much, and it's not really putting all your eggs in one basket, because you can still choose other subjects that you're interested in or passionate about. As a science department, we would strongly recommend the triple science course for any pupils wanting to study any of the science subjects beyond GCSE or considering a career in the STEM field. And we've got some examples there of careers that could fall into the STEM field, but that is by no means a complete list of all of the jobs that link to science, technology, engineering or maths. The extra modules that you study in triple science really do bridge the gap between GCSE and A level. And people wanting to go on to study any of the science subjects at A level generally tend to find it a little bit easier, especially in the first few months of studying science beyond GCSE, if they have done the triple course compared to the combined course. However, if you were to take combined science, it does not limit your options, and you are still perfectly able to apply for and get on and do incredibly well in science beyond GCSE. It will not limit your choices if you do not take triple science. Triple science can also be helpful on your CV for lots of other careers, and I've got some examples there as teaching, law, and anything in the finance sector. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. If you need any more information, please do speak to any science teacher, or you can come and find myself, Mr. Reed, or Mr. Dennis. Thank you. Goodbye.